For 10,000 cycles, the Cathari Union believed the galaxy was empty of equals. Their observatories scanned nebulae and star lanes and found only silence. Ancient ruins drifted through space like fossils of forgotten mistakes, and every new system they charted reinforced the same comforting truth that they were alone and supreme. Their cities floated in perfect rings around blue stars. Their fleets were ceremonial rather than martial, and their historians taught that war was a primitive phase of development that intelligent species inevitably outgrew. When a junior astronomer named Veles detected an anomaly near the Perseus arm, it was first dismissed as sensor echo. The anomaly grew, not brighter, but heavier, a distortion in gravity that bent starlight and made the void feel crowded. The elders convened and agreed it must be a natural phenomenon, perhaps a rogue cluster collapsing in slow motion. Yet Veles felt something else in the data, a rhythm, a deliberate march hidden inside the math. Long-range probes vanished when sent toward the distortion, not destroyed, but simply gone. Their last transmissions were clean and calm until they stopped mid-signal. The Union Council finally authorized a greeting array, broadcasting harmonic, mathematics and cultural markers into the dark, confident that if something listened, it would respond peacefully. The response came 17 cycles later, not as words or numbers, but as mass. The distortion resolved into shapes, colossal silhouettes, emerging from folded space. Their hulls were dark like burned iron, and their outlines bristled with structures that had no aesthetic purpose, only function. The galaxy that had felt empty suddenly felt very small. As the first of the vessels fully emerged, Cathari sensors struggled to name it. The closest translation their systems produced was Dreadnought, a word pulled from some forgotten linguistic archive that described ships built not to explore but to end arguments. Panic rippled through the council chambers as ancient instincts returned. Veles watched from the observatory as more shapes followed. Dozens, then hundreds, each one larger than any Union habitat ring. And for the first time in recorded history, a Cathari spoke the unthinkable phrase into the council record. "We are not alone." Asterisks, the ships did not rush or posture. They moved with slow, unstoppable certainty, like countenance drifting through vacuum. Transmissions finally reached the Union, layered and calm, identifying the newcomers as vessels of Earth, a name absent from every Cathari archive, yet spoken with quiet confidence. Earth's message was simple. This region of space was now under observation. No hostile intent was declared yet. No reassurance was offered. It was not a greeting between equals, but a statement of presence. The Union scrambled its diplomats, crafting responses that emphasized peace, cooperation, and mutual learning, as talks stalled in cautious formality. The Cathari finally saw the Dreadnoughts up close. Each hull carried scars, deep grooves and sealed breaches that told stories of battles fought against enemies far more dangerous than the Union had ever imagined. These were not ceremonial fleets. They were survivors. A Cathari science delegation was invited aboard one vessel. The crew they encountered were humans, varied in form and color, their eyes sharp but curious, their movements efficient yet relaxed. They did not behave like conquerors but like veterans who had learned not to underestimate the universe. Inside the Dreadnought, the scale was overwhelming. Corridors wide enough for armored vehicles, reactors humming with restrained violence, walls etched with names of lost ships and fallen worlds. When asked why such power was necessary, a human commander answered plainly, "Because the galaxy is not kind." The delegation learned fragments of Earth's history, of a species that evolved on a hostile world, battered by climate, predators, and each other. They spoke of wars that nearly ended them, and alliances forged in desperation. Where the Union had found silence and emptiness, humanity had found enemies, and endured. As days passed, the Union's certainty crumbled. Their assumption of solitude had been a shield against fear, now stripped away. They faced a civilization that had grown strong not because it was alone but because it never was. And the Dreadnoughts remained in orbit, patient and watchful. Asterisk, the true test came not from Earth, but from the void beyond. A third power long hidden revealed itself, drawn by the energy signatures of the arriving fleets. The Vorik swarm, a devouring collective that stripped systems to dust. They had watched the Union for centuries, waiting for resistance to weaken. Vorik's tendrils surged into Cathari's space, their biofleets blotting out stars. Union defenses collapsed in hours, their ships elegant but fragile, built for deterrence rather than survival. Panic spread across the habitats as evacuation plans failed one by one. Earth's Dreadnoughts moved at last. Without ceremony, they placed themselves between the swarm and the Union core worlds. Weapons powered up that bent local physics. Space-time rippled as targeting systems locked onto threats measured in billions of lives. The battle was unlike anything the Cathari had conceived. Human ships absorbed impacts that would have shattered moons, returning fire with controlled annihilation. Entire Vorix formations vanished in bursts of engineered energy. The Dreadnoughts advanced relentlessly, protecting Union worlds as if they were their own. Human commanders coordinated with Union tacticians, adapting in real time, learning Vorix behavior and exploiting weaknesses. Losses were taken. Scars added to already scarred holes, but the line held. For the first time the swarm encountered prey that fought back harder than it fed. After 3 brutal cycles, the Vorix retreated, their remains drifting like ash through space. Cathari's citizens watched from their cities as the nightmare ended. Saved, not by their own forgotten superiority, but by strangers who had arrived unannounced, and stood their ground. In the aftermath of the Union Council convened with Earth's representatives. Humility replaced arrogance in every word. They asked why humanity had intervened. Why risk such power for a civilization they had just met? The answer was not heroic but honest. Humans had learned that isolation breeds extinction. Every species they had lost had believed itself safe until it was not. Earth's doctrine was simple. When you find others, you stand together or you fall separately. Cultural exchanges followed. Union scholars studied human art born from struggle. Human engineers learned Cathari sciences refined in peace. Both sides discovered strengths the other lacked. The galaxy felt less empty and more complex than ever before. The Dreadnoughts did not leave. But neither did they dominate. They remained as guardians and partners, helping rebuild defenses and teach the Union how to survive a crowded universe. Velis was present at the signing of the first interstellar alliance the Union had ever known. Looking out at the human fleets, Velis understood the great mistake of Cathari history. They had mistaken silence for safety and emptiness for peace. Earth had arrived not to conquer but to remind them that the universe was alive. Years later, the story spread across the stars, of a civilization that thought it was alone until Earth's dreadnoughts arrived. It became a warning and a promise told to newly discovered species. The Union transformed, their fleets rebuilt with purpose, their culture infused with resilience. Children learned not only harmony but preparedness. And humans learned that not every meeting ended in war, that some arrivals could change history gently. From the bridge of a shared command station, Velis watched human and Cathari ships depart together on exploration missions, not seeking emptiness anymore but connection. The galaxy was vast but no longer lonely, and far beyond the charts, other eyes watched, ancient and curious. The Dreadnoughts were known now, not as harbingers of doom but as proof that, when darkness comes, someone might answer. The aliens had thought they were alone, but the arrival of Earth had taught them the greatest truth of all: survival is strongest when shared.